Greetings to anyone named Herbert, Ebenezer, or Otis, and any of the rest of you that happened to stop by. I am Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Joining me once again to talk about some National Football League related material. Please join me in welcoming Dillon Diligent Jewett.
That's me. And I'm sorry if your name is Ebenezer.
You're just
I
sorry
feel
in
really
general.
bad for you. I'm so I really hope that you don't have. I mean, shout out to if you are a subscriber of Jared's channel. Shout out to you if your name is Ebenezer, but
Hey, if we
I'm
have any
sorry, man. You didn't
Ebenezers, let
deserve
us
it.
know in the comments. It sounds like
Yes,
Diligent
please.
feels
Yeah.
bad for you. Just have to
I feel bad
navigate
for you.
life as an
Yeah.
Ebenezer.
Yep.
You know, we'll see. We'll see what kind of feedback we get. Well, Diligent and I are going to be talking a little more NFL, and
Right.
specifically, we're going to talk about the six quarterbacks that were all taken in the first round of the
Yeah.
2024 NFL draft going into year two. There's always this stigma of, oh, is there going to be a drop off? Is there going to be the sophomore slump and the struggle? So we're going to go
Sure.
through, talk about all six of them. I'll introduce them in the order they were drafted, and we'll kind of go from there. So let's start off with the guy that was the number one overall pick in the 2024 draft, Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. As a rookie, he did start all 17 games. He had 351 completions on 562 attempts, 62.5 completion percentage, 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Also had 81 carries for 489 yards, 6 yards per carry, 0 touchdowns. Chicago's win-loss record was 5-12. Now, I'll say before we go any further, if you look at the numbers, he had a pretty darn good rookie season. A lot of the negatives I've heard about him was, oh, Chicago was 5-12. Now, topic within a topic, so I don't want to spend too much time. I will never scrutinize one player too much for their team's record. I'll never celebrate one player too much for their team's record. As great as you are, you're still one player. I understand the quarterback is arguably the most important position on the field, and there may not be much arguing. Okay, I get that. For me, Tom Brady never won a Super Bowl. He was a starting quarterback 7 times for teams that won a Super Bowl. Would they have won without him? No, but he still didn't go out there and play 1 on 11 for 4 quarters. He did not win 7 Super Bowls. Caleb Williams did not go out there last year and go 5-12. He was the starting quarterback for a team that was 5-12. So the Bears has some room to grow. My opinion, Caleb Williams is a big part of that, but he's still just one player. I think he
Yeah.
was pretty good last year. Talk about some of the weapons he has around him. They still got DeAndre Swift, DJ Moore, Romo Dunze. They drafted Luther Burden III. Cole Kermit. They drafted Colson Loveland at tight end. They did lose Keenan Allen in free agency. Maybe the biggest change, they have former Detroit offensive coordinator Ben Johnson now as their head coach. So, Diligent, how do you feel about Caleb Williams' rookie year, and what do you expect or foresee for him going into season two?
Man, I'm not worried about his rookie year, honestly. I thought he actually had a decent rookie year, all
Yeah,
things considered. He was, I mean, you just mentioned how, this game isn't 1 on 11 and, no one should get flowers for, well, they should get flowers and they should get recognition, but it's not this like individual game.
right. It's not a
There were
boxing match.
there were some times where Caleb Williams was 1 on 11 in these games. He
He
was
probably
running
felt like
for
it.
his life. The poor
Yeah,
dude was getting terrorized at times, and it did feel like it at times. The poor guy was just
yeah. He
that
got
offensive
sacked.
line was
I
doing
didn't
no
get his sack numbers, but he got sacked.
68
I was gonna say,
times.
I know it was in the 60s.
68 times. That is, I'm going to hang on 1 second. Give me 5 seconds. I'm going to see how many times Jalen Hurts was sacked, your Super Bowl winning
Oh,
quarterback last year.
behind
Third,
the best offensive
hang
line.
on, 38 times. So you 30 less sacks. That is dramatic. That is a dramatic change.
Not only
And
about how it affects your team, but that's a lot of physical punishment
that
that you're
is,
taking
yeah.
in a season.
Yeah, that is wild. The good thing is, if this team improved on anything this year, it was their offensive line. And
They better
Joe
have, yeah.
Joe Thuney, left guard, huge get. Drew Dahlman is a pretty solid average kind of center. Bring him in. Jonah Jackson, that's a good guard. Bring him in. That's what they did to the interior of their offensive line. Bring in Ozzy Trapillo as your second round pick. That's your swing tackle. So it's like on the tackles, you have Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright. Both of those are a little bit of wild cards, both with upside that just haven't fully, hit their potential. If one of
Yeah.
those guys start to slip, okay, let's get the rookie in there. Let's get Ozzy Trapillo in there. And that's what I like about this offense is it's not just this starting lineup. You have a opportunity for in the not even really possibility, but likelihood that one of these guys doesn't work out, you have a guy. And that is really huge for Caleb Williams, who did not have that last year. I think the offensive line is going to be really helpful for him this year. And then you have so many weapons. And you had weapons
He does have
last
a
year.
very good collection of weapons.
Yeah, you had weapons last year. You didn't know they didn't know how to scheme that up. They didn't know how to use them and cycle through these weapons. I'll tell you what, if there's anyone in the NFL that knows how to scheme up a variety of weapons, he is now your head coach. His
It's
name
their
is
new head
Ben
coach,
Johnson.
yeah.
So I think that Caleb Williams, not Caleb Johnson. Well, Caleb Johnson might have a good year in
Yeah, he
Pittsburgh, but
probably will too, but that's a different
um,
conversation.
exactly. But Caleb Williams, I think he's going to take a jump this year, and I don't. So it's kind of hard to start stuffing, the playoff picture in when it's all said and done. I know we're not directly correlating these to playoff games, but
Hmm.
but uh but I think that the Bears are going to be a team that is a fringe playoff team. And I think that's largely going to be in part of a big jump by Caleb Williams, weapons, just being able to, like, this team knowing how to use Roma Dunze, this team knowing how to. I think
That's a
they
guy
did a fine
I
job with
expect to
DJ
take a
Moore.
big jump in this season.
Absolutely.
Doomsday.
I think they're going to figure out, poor Colston Loveland last year at Michigan with no JJ McCarthy, just these guys that, oh my, respectfully, I don't know. I may have done better at quarterback than them. Caleb Johnson's going to have a Colson Loveland, a big, lengthy target who's a vertical threat along the
Yeah.
seam. That is going to be so nice for him to be able to have this wide open route tree where you have your deep threats, you have your intermediate, your middle of the field guys, you have your short area of the field guys, you have your sideline guys, you have your middle of the field guys, you have the opportunity to have not the best rushing attack, but a decent rushing attack that
Yeah.
that Ben Johnson can schematically make better because of the prospect of having an actually good interior defensive offensive line this year. And I think that this is going to be a much better team. And you can also run a lot of 12 personnel with your two tight ends,
I think they should
Colson
because Cole
Loveland and Cole
Kermit's
Kmet.
still pretty darn good. I think they
He's
should
very
run a
good.
lot of 12 personnel.
Very good. Yeah.
Um, I would even just me, I'd do some 12 personnel, and maybe on occasion
Sure.
I'd put Cole Kermit, line him up like a fullback if you want to run the ball
Sure.
down. I mean,
Sure.
I just have both
Absolutely.
those guys in the field to
And
me.
you better
Something
believe
like
Ben
that.
Johnson's going to do stuff like that. You better believe
Well,
it.
if you want to make the correlations, I know the personnel's not there, and I don't expect it to be exact, but Detroit's offense over the past couple of years, if that's any indication, I mean, look at
Yeah.
Laporta, look at Amon St. Brown,
Sure.
look at Jamison Williams breakout last
Sure.
year. They got two of the best. Well, Montgomery's not one of the best, but the best backfield duo and one of the best running backs in Jameer Gibbs. We may not see all of that in Chicago, but if there's any indication, I mean, you got weapons in Chicago that can replicate
Sure.
some of that. So
Sure.
I expect Caleb will improve. I think they might still be a year away from being a playoff team or a playoff threat. The
Yeah.
division's tough. You got Green Bay, Detroit, and Minnesota. So
Oh yeah.
that's one of the bigger reasons I say they may still be a year away. But I do expect. And first of all, Caleb, I think, had a very good rookie year, all things considered. Uh, we'll see
Yeah.
going into this year, but I expect the young man's got a lot of room to grow. Uh,
And just last thing, one big thing for him is he's a very confident individual. He went through very unconfident times last year with the Bears. And
some very
if he
humbling
was
times, I think, had to
exactly,
be.
and that's it's good for him. It may be good for him in the long run, but also if anyone can power through the, you know, these guys, like they this game is their life, and there's a lot of emotions that tie to this, and if anyone can power through those emotions and overcome it because of their self-confidence, Caleb Williams is one of those guys. So I think that even though there's all this pressure as the number one pick, is not even just the number one pick. This was a guy that people were putting in the same bucket as like Trevor Lawrence coming out of Clemson. There was a lot of similar pressure to that, Andrew Luck out of Stanford and
Bro,
Cam
you're
Newton
here
out
to
of
turn our
Auburn.
franchise around. I mean, that's
Exactly.
basically
That's
what they're
what it
getting
is.
at.
They're saying it's not we think you could change our franchise.
Mm-mm.
It's Caleb, you are responsible
Here's the
for this
keys. Put
franchise.
them in the
Yeah.
ignition and let's go. Like
Exactly.
yeah, that's why they
Yep.
drafted him. So, all right, the next guy we'll talk about, the number 2 overall pick. If you know me, if you've been following the channel, you know one of my favorite players, Jaden Daniels. He did start all 17 games for the Washington Commanders last year. 331 completions in 480 attempts, 69% completion percentage, 3,568 yards, 25 touchdowns, 9 interceptions, 891 rushing, 6 yards a carry, with 6 touchdowns. The Commanders were 12-5 last year. They've got Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler coming back. Hopefully, Terry McLaurin coming back. Debo Samuel, Noah Brown if he's healthy, and then some guys that I hope will make some strides. Luke McCaffrey, I hope we'll see him make a little more of a jump. They do have KJ Osborne, Zach Ertz, and then some other younger guys that I'd like to see get involved in and make some jumps. Jalen Lane, Ben Sinnanot, Ja'Cory Krosky, Merritt. They've got weapons. Jay's got plenty of weapons to throw to. Last year, you could argue he had the best season in NFL history of any rookie quarterback, or and up there with any rookie ever. I mean, I talked about Caleb Williams. Jaden actually had 27 more yards passing, higher completion percentage, 5 more touchdown passes, and the 891 yards rushing and 6 rushing touchdowns. I think, and I'll probably am a little more confident than you are, Diligent, largely because he is one of my favorite players. But I think this guy's already an elite talent. I think that barring severe injury to him, and hopefully his weapons stay healthy and present, I think he hopefully I hope and I think he will build on what he did last year. I hope that he will propel the Commanders further. I think this guy's just dangerous, passing, running. He's got great mental processing. His poise and confidence under pressure for such a young guy
Well,
really impressed
fantastic.
me last year. That with all the athleticism and with the great deep ball and the way he reads defenses, his poise and confidence might be his best attribute. And that's saying a lot for a guy that runs like he does. But my only concern is because he's 6'4", only 210. Every time he rips off a long run, I worry he's going to get hit too hard
Yeah.
and can get injured.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember Robert Griffin III. But yeah, I would love to see Jaden, whether it's this year or in the future, number one, hoist a Lombardi trophy. But I want to see him become the first player in history to have 4,000 passing and 1,000 rushing. Actually, I'm a Lamar Jackson fan too, so I'd like to see both of them do it. Lamar flirted with that last year himself.
Yeah.
And Jaden's numbers, I mean, truthfully, you look what he did as a rookie. I don't think that's unreasonable to think that
Sure.
I think he's capable. I think he and Lamar are
Yeah.
both capable of 4,000 passing, 1,000 rushing. Uh,
Sure.
I could say more, but I've made my point on Jaden Daniels, Diligent. How do you feel about his rookie year? What do you see going into year 2?
His rookie year was fantastic. I mean, I think this is one of those years where it's definitely up there with, I don't know if I would say it was the best rookie year ever for a quarterback, but it is it
I can't think of anybody else I'd put in that category. I mean,
um yeah,
CJ Stroud comes to mind, but I think
I
Jalen
think
was better overall.
well, I'd
Yeah,
say
I don't
Dak
know.
Prescott's rookie year statistically was remarkable, and Ben Roethlisberger's rookie year, those are that and
You
CJ
can put him in the
Stroud.
conversation. Yeah.
Those are what I would kind of debate with now. But I think he's bound to continue to improve. Hopefully he doesn't have this sophomore slump, at the pro level. But I mean, I don't see any reason why he wouldn't. The personnel's better. You have a better offensive line. You add Debo Samuel into the equation. The only reason why personnel wise he wouldn't get better is if Terry McLaurin,
Yeah.
doesn't go out there. I think that that's going to get resolved, though. I personally do. I've seen this so many times where, and I think Micah Parsons doing the same thing in Dallas, where it's it's a it is a money move and it makes
Sometimes
sense.
you got to threaten a trade to get the ball rolling, unfortunately, to get these teams in gear. I mean,
sometimes you gotta make the team flirt with the prospect of like,
what
okay,
if I leave?
now it's yeah, exactly. Now it's like,
Yeah.
what if we actually lose this guy? What does this look like? What does this do to our year? And the Commanders are gonna realize we're trying to win a Super Bowl. We can't do that.
McLaurin's a huge piece if they want to compete for the Super Bowl. So, yeah.
Sure. And I think Jaden Daniels, like my stylistic comp for him coming out of school was Lamar Jackson, and we've had a
Yeah.
lot of conversations where it's Lamar Jackson and Jaden Daniels are the same bucket of a player. They have similar running style. Obviously, they're probably the two best runners in the league at the quarterback position, and
So,
then
yeah.
extremely poised in the pocket. An arm that has plenty of juice in it. We're just trying to work on continuing to uh uh make these on target throws, and that's the area last year that was like, I did not expect this. I didn't I thought he was going to have a little bit more of a struggle with his accuracy, and he was
You
good
would
in college
assume
with his
that.
accuracy
Yeah.
during his Heisman year, but I thought that there was going to be a little bit more, and I guess this is also where the poise aspect comes into it. He was not flustered by the moment, and that was really impressive. So I do think that Jaden Daniels is going to continue to progress off of that. I think that this is going to be a team that's probably going to be in the same ish scenario as last year, where they're right there knocking on the door. I think that this is a team
Yeah.
that I would set the bar at at a bare minimum. I think that this is going to be a team that is going to go to the playoffs and should get at least to the divisional rounds. But at the very worst, this is going to be a playoff team, and that's again at the very worst. But I
Yeah.
think we're going to get better than that. So and that's going to be largely in part because of the development of Jaden Daniels.
Yeah. Yeah. I think they've got their quarterback that if he stays healthy, they just continue to build around him. Number 3 overall pick to the New England Patriots, Drake May, had a little bit different experience. He played in only 13 games, 12 starts, 225 completions, 338 attempts, 66.6 completion percentage, 2,276 yards, 15 touchdowns, 10 interceptions, 54 carries for 421 yards, 7.8 yards per carry with 2 touchdowns. For a 17 game projection on those numbers, you would be looking at 2,976 yards, 19.6 touchdown passes, 13.1 interceptions, 550 rushing yards with 2.6 touchdowns. The Patriots' record in the games Drake May started was 3-9. They do still have Rahamondre. They drafted one of my favorite players in the draft this year, Travion Henderson.
And he had a
Uh,
kick return touchdown last night
he did
in the
100 yards, I
preseason
think it
game.
was. Yeah,
That's right.
100-yard return against my Commanders.
Yeah.
Um, Receivers, they do have Stephon Diggs, who's coming off an injury and who is getting older. Outside of that, not a lot of stars, but they got a lot of pieces. Demario Douglas, Kyle Williams, who I think is a pretty good incoming rookie. Jalen Polk, Kendrick Bourne, Kayshawn Butte, Mac Hollins, Javon Baker. Again, no superstars really, but they do have a lot of options for Drake May. And then Hunter Henry's getting older as a tight end, but he had a pretty good year last year. And Austin Hooper. So, Drake May didn't get as much playing time. I think New England was smart to ease him in. I think some of these quarterbacks get thrown in too early. I think Drake May proved enough last year for me to say I think he's a solid NFL quarterback. I think he'll continue to grow. He showed a lot better athleticism. I mean, 7.8 yards a carry, that's not going to happen for his career, but if he can get you 4 to 500 rushing along with his passing, that's definitely a bonus. He got to cut down them interceptions. Again, I know he was a rookie, and so I'm not going to fault him too much, but 15 touchdowns to 10 interceptions is not the ratio you want for your starting
Yeah.
quarterback. I think New England's still a way off from being a playoff team, but
Sure.
for Drake May, he's got a year of experience now. He's now going to be the week one starter, should have more confidence. I think we probably will see a decent year two jump for him. But then again, there'll be a lot more pressure on him this year. So we'll have to see how that plays out. But Dillon, how do you feel about what we've seen thus far and what we can expect this year for Drake May?
Yeah, he's going to take a jump this year. This team's better in a lot of ways. They didn't necessarily. I think I've mentioned this in the past. I think in one of our past shows that we've done together. But the Patriots, the way they set up their receiver room is just weird, man. I don't know what, they're just like, okay, we're going to take 9 stabs at this. 9 guys that are probably
Right.
most teams, maybe the third best option at receiver.
Who cares
and
about
we're just
getting
going to
one
hope.
good receiver? Let's just throw a bunch
Yeah.
of guys out there.
And that's what they say is we're going to take all these stabs at it. And it's like, one of these guys got to pan out. One of these guys has got to be good. And it's like, I don't know. I don't get it. But I think at the end of the day, Drake just didn't have any help last year. He had a lot of pressure on him too. The offensive line was bad last year. This year, this offensive line is 4 new starters now. So you got Will Campbell, Jared Wilson is going to probably play guard. Garrett Bradbury and Morgan Moses is probably going to play right tackle. Mike Onwenu is going to be the only probably remaining starter. And so that can be a good thing and that can be a bad thing. I think it's going to be a good thing because it can't get much worse. But you do have a very new offensive line that's going to be very restructured. So they got to become a cohesive group. But I mean, the running game's gonna be a lot better. Trey Henderson is really good. I think Trey Henderson's gonna have a great rookie year.
I think he could have a great career. He's
absolutely
that guy. Speed, explosion. But he's also a good passing receiving threat as well for Drake May.
Yeah, and I think this offense is just going to be built better. You have Josh McDaniels back in the fold, that offensive coordinator, which is a little interesting. We'll see how that goes. He was coordinating some really good years back with Brady back in the day. Mike Vrabel at head coach. I think that those are going to be some factors that really bring some stability to this unit. I think we're going to stop with this old school. Obviously, Bill Belichick is probably the best coach to ever play the game, to ever coach the game. I just think that he became very old school by the time it was over with for his NFL coaching career, and that just didn't mix well with Drake May, and I think that penalized Drake May a little bit here. So I think that if we can get just some stability in the running game, thin out this receiver room, I hope that they're really doing their due diligence and camp right now to get Drake May somewhat of a relationship with these receivers. Something that's
you gotta know who's going to be on the field, and you got to have confidence in who's on the field.
And I want him to know it's third down. Who is my guy? Who is my go-to? Obviously not on an every third down basis, but for Dak Prescott, it's CeeDee Lamb. For Jaden Daniels, it's Terry McLaurin. Is it
Hunter Henry? Is it Demario Douglas? Can I trust
Is it Stephon Diggs?
Is
it and then he needs to know, when we dial up these deep balls, I want to have this, relationship with those guys. When Matt Collins running 40 yards down the field, I want to make sure that we are able to connect on these in
Yes.
camp before we start doing in the game. I want to know who's my intermediate threat. How can I develop this relationship with Kyle Williams to be able to make these in-breaking routes a
Yes.
routine, a second nature? And I really hope that they're developing that, and it's not just this every receiver on this team has a wide route tree. We're going to make them run whatever route we want. It just goes to, it doesn't matter what personnel we have out there. We're just running our route tree. And it feels like that's kind of been how it is in the past, where it's like, I don't care who's playing X. I care who's playing our flanker role. I don't care who's slot. We're just going to do this mixture, this, whatever, and they're going to run whatever route we tell them to. And that can't happen this year. We need to have some sense of stability. So Drake May is like, there's where I go in this situation. That's what I do whenever. And then he can get a little bit of a routine nature to this. So, I hope that's happening in New England right now. And if so, this is someone Drake May on a in a perfect world. This is a guy that has Justin Herbert, Josh Allen type of. That was my comp for my stylistic comp. That's the ceiling for him. That is the ceiling, and it's just let's see what we can do to. And that's
Yeah.
what they drafted him with him in mind. At third overall, they said this
Number
is what
three
we want
overall
from him,
pick. Yeah.
and
We
let's just
definitely
see
have.
if we can push him towards that this year,
Yeah.
so
And
that he
I
can
don't
start to break into
disagree.
that.
We haven't seen that yet, but I mean, from what
Sure.
we've seen so far, I won't, I won't say that that's not a decent possibility. Next
Yeah.
guy, who was the number 8 overall pick to the Atlanta Falcons, Michael Penix Jr. Bit of a strange pick considering what they offered Kirk
Sure.
Cousins.
Very.
We saw by the end of the year though, Penix was starting. He played 5 games with 3 starts, 61 completions on 105 attempts, 58.1%, 775 yards, 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, 7 carries for 11 yards, 1.6 blistering yards
Oh,
per
he's a better
carry,
runner than Lamar Jackson.
and a touchdown. So if you project that over 17 games, you're looking at 2,635 yards, 10.2 touchdowns, 10.2 interceptions,
Well,
37.4
Jared,
yards rushing.
do you think he's going to go out there and get 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards or what?
Maybe he'll be the one to do it.
Yeah.
Forget about Lamar
Let's forget
Jackson
about
and
Jaden
Jaden
Daniels, forget
Daniels.
about Lamar. I think we
Michael
found our guy.
Penix is about to burst the gates wide open with his running. The Falcons' record in his games were 1-2. Now he does have one of the absolute elite best running backs in the league in Bijan Robinson, and another guy pretty darn good in Tyler Algier. Not to get too far off, but as big a fan as I am of Bijan, Tyler Algier is pretty darn good. They need to use both those guys, I think, decent amount. Bijan's just better. Drake London, Darnell Mooney, Ray McLeod, and I don't know if we can call Kyle Pitts a weapon at this point, but he is their starting tight end, so I'll say his name. Obviously, a very small sample size on Penix. And my overall thought is I haven't seen enough on the NFL level to have too much of an opinion. He's just getting started. I think this year is where we're really going to see how he looks with that offense. Is it really, was he worth the number 8 pick? I'm not saying he won't be. I'm saying I just don't know. Obviously, as we've already alluded to, he's not a rushing threat. The completion percentage is only 58. 3 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. I can't read too much into any of those numbers because he just didn't play a whole lot. So this year, I mean, coming out of college, this guy, I mean, the talent was there. I definitely think he could be a very good NFL quarterback. I think this is year where we find out. So I don't think he's going to take over the league this year. I don't think the Falcons are a huge threat in terms of the postseason just yet, although they've got very good young weapons. But how do you see Penix Diligent? I could see him making a jump and having a pretty good second season. To be honest, I could see him struggling a decent amount because I think he's still got to adjust to the game because he just didn't get a lot of opportunity last year.
Yeah. The thing that makes me optimistic for him is that he is a very good processor. That's kind of where what his game is foundationally built on is his ability to read the field and make the right read. So I think that that's going to do him some service in the sense that it I think it gives him a floor this year, and that I think that floor is he's going to go out there and throw for 20 touchdowns, maybe 10 picks. Like that's an okay season. I mean, it's not ideal, but
No, but
that's a
it's not
whatever.
terrible.
Yeah, it's not terrible, and I think that's the type of floor that we're maybe looking at is 20 touchdowns and probably double digit picks, but I'm okay with that for his second year for kind of his 1.5 year, if you want to put it, because he
Yeah,
barely played last year, and
less
I'm
than that,
glad that he
really.
didn't
Yeah,
play that much last year, because he gave him the opportunity to ease in, kind of learn this offense.
yeah.
He has good weapons around him. This is, I mean, an underrated weapon room. Like Drake May is, or I'm sorry, Drake May.
Drake
Yeah,
London.
Drake May is his wide receiver. That's there you
That'd be an
go.
interesting
Yeah.
combination.
You didn't hear it? They traded him
Nah,
over.
I was not aware of that.
So
Yeah, Drake
yeah,
London really had a
Drake
big season
London
last
and
year
Darnell
and
Mooney was
should
good
build.
last year.
Darnell Mooney
Um,
was very good last
he
year,
had a
so
thousand yards, and
it was like 900. So it was a little under 1,000, I
oh,
think.
was it? Okay,
It was
yeah,
like
but
990 something. You're pretty close
yeah,
though. And he's got
yeah,
that
992,
speed.
just barely.
Okay, I
But
knew it
yeah,
was
you have, and then obviously Kyle Pitts, who hasn't come near his ceiling, but Kyle Pitts is still like 24 and
he's still young and he's still not worthless. He's just
24.
not.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's just not what you imagined him to be coming out of school. We thought that this was potentially
Oh
one of the
yeah.
best tight end prospects ever when he came
He
out of
was
Florida.
prospect wise, he was. And then
And
Bijan, I mean, Bijan has the potential, in my opinion, to start putting up Christian McCaffrey type seasons.
sure, absolutely,
I think he's that good.
absolutely, he
I could
is.
see him getting a 2,000 yard rushing season. I could see him
Yeah,
having 1,500 rushing and 1,000 receiving. Like
I
if
mean
they use him that
he had
way,
1,900 yards. He had almost 1,900
total
scrimmage yards
scrimmage
last
last year.
year.
Yeah,
He had 15 touchdowns. That is an elite running back season,
yeah.
and yeah, he's bound to build off of that. And this offensive line is pretty solid. You have a good offensive line unit. Center wise, you lost your starting center. I mean, we were talking about him on the last episode, how he went over to the Vikings. Man, I'm kind of forgetting. But in Dahlman, but I mean, otherwise, this offensive line is a good unit, and you are
They
able to throw
drafted
behind that.
some good young defensive players in this year's draft too. So
Absolutely.
um,
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of James Pierce, but you did bring in Jalen Walker, and James Pierce is going to get
I'm a
you some
big
good
fan of Jalen
pre
Walker, and then we'll
pressure
see
numbers.
about Pierce. So yeah,
Bring in Xavier Watts, who I love. You bring in a lot of weapons, and
yeah,
these are things, and I know it's a little weird to like, we're talking about the quarterback. Why are we talking about defense
right.
helps. This takes pressure off of Michael
Off
Penix
of
so that
Penix, yeah,
now whenever it's, the fourth quarter, he's not having to play behind because the defense did their job. They
can't
kept him in the
stop
game.
anybody.
And
Yeah,
now he can, and that gives him more scenarios where it's like, all right, all right, Mike, you got to go down the field. You got to get us a touchdown. If you can do that, we win the game. And those
right.
scenarios are built off of dual sided. We play off of each other. Offense plays off of the defense. Defense plays off of the offense, and that's how you win games. And that takes pressure off of Michael Penix. And I think that he's in a good scenario for his second year of NFL football. I think this is a good situation. It could be much worse, and
Oh, it could
I
be
think he'll go out there
substantially
and
worse. Yeah.
like I said, I think he's going to go out there, put up 20 touchdowns, 10, 11, 12 picks, and we're going to call it a day. And then year three is going to be where it's like, all right, it's time for you to start to really show up. And I think that's a reasonable expectation to put him in. So, yeah,
I would say that as well. Hey, by his year three, I mean, B. John's still building. Drake May's still. I mean, you keep this nucleus of young offensive weapon because those guys, they're all young. Pitts, London, Bijan, they're all in their early
yeah,
20s. Algiers in his early 20s. I mean, they've got a good core to build from. So I think Penix,
sure.
like you said, good situation. The next guy, the number 10 pick in the draft 2024 to the Minnesota Vikings, Jonathan James McCarthy. His 2024 statistics,
Oh, they were insane. They were
yeah,
crazy.
I mean, I'm almost afraid to even speak it.
He didn't throw a
What?
single pick in his rookie year,
No, he
Jared.
didn't throw a single incompletion. Diligent did not
That's
take a
wild.
sack. Man, he didn't. Team didn't lose a game with him
This
out
is
there.
not okay. We need to stop with the Jaden Daniels had the best rookie year. We found him. It's JJ McCarthy. This is the best rookie year in NFL
There are
history.
some things we could say for McCarthy that he had better numbers in.
Sure.
Uh, they did bring Aaron Jones back. They got Jordan Mason in the offseason. They got Jordan Addison, who we talked about in the previous episode, will be serving a 3-game suspension. Jalen Naylor, who had some pretty good games last year. Hawkinson is now a year removed from his surgery. They also drafted a guy named Ty Felton, who I think is a pretty good receiver. He's got a lot of potential. They signed Rondale Moore. Oh, and they've also got Justin Jefferson. So
He's pretty good.
McCarthy, he's not the worst player I've ever seen.
All
McCarthy
right.
this year has a lot to prove. We spoke in a previous episode about he's a guy that you really ask not to lose games versus going out there and winning games. He's more of a game manager, not necessarily a bad thing. If you look at, I don't know what he's going to be this year. There's a lot of questions because the guy hasn't taken a snap in a regular season game yet. But if you look at the past few years, what did Kirk look at Kirk Cousins in 2022, 2023? Very good numbers in that system. Now you can go back to Cousins when he first started in Washington. When he's healthy, he's always put up good numbers. So that's not any indication. But after Cousins got injured in 2023, you had Joshua Dobbs, you had Nick Mullins, you had Jaron Hall. All those guys were putting up good numbers. The Vikings weren't winning every game, but Nick Mullins was putting up over 300 yards a game because he had Justin Jefferson, Jordan Addison, T.J. Hawkinson, and being coached by Kevin O'Connell. Sam Darnold had the best year of his career last year. So, having said all of that, I don't know how good J.J. McCarthy is going to be, but I don't know how good he's going to have to be. He could be average and still put up some pretty darn good productivity because of the weapons around him and because of the coaching system. So, I think the book's still wide open on him, but how do you feel about him going into this year, Diligent?
I mean, yeah, you brought it up. Just he doesn't need to do everything. He just needs to keep them afloat. And the rest of this team is good enough to win games with him going out there and just balancing out this team. I mean, he doesn't need to do much. I mean, if he can go out there and throw, I mean, 18 touchdowns, six interceptions, then you have a good enough year and get a couple, touchdowns on the ground. That's a good year for him to be able to just keep this team afloat. That probably equates to a good 10 wins right there, and
I'd say
that's
probably a winning season, yeah.
exactly. And then you just let the rest of this team go to work. Like all you got to do is get the ball into the hands of your playmakers, and if you can do that in a responsible manner, that's kind of his game. He's a responsible quarterback. He's he's not a scared quarterback. He's a responsible quarterback who plays efficient football. He's not going to go out there and put up 45 touchdowns, and obviously not in his basically rookie
Maybe in three
year.
seasons.
Maybe in a couple seasons, but
No, I mean 3 seasons combined, he might throw 45
maybe in three.
touchdowns.
There you go. Yeah. But he I like JJ McCarthy. I was really high on him. I'd had him at 15 on my board coming out of school, which is a little bit higher than the consensus. But I think that he has the potential to become a Joe Burrow light, Diet Coke Joe Burrow. Whenever he's at his peak of his career, where it's just like he can, let's start off with the training wheels program. Let's start off with doing what you're good at, which is playing efficient football, which is taking care of the ball, being responsible, and then let's get to okay, the next year after this, we're going to start airing it out a little bit more. And then the next year after that, then we can start to unleash you. And then it's like we can have this progression throughout the years. And the sucky thing about it is it's just you do wish that you could have been able to see him last year. And I don't know what would have happened because I think regardless they were going to start Sam Darnold for a little bit, and then at that point
The
Sam
way
Darnold had a
Darnold was
great
playing,
year.
McCarthy might not ever have got that fit
Exactly.
anyways.
But you would have liked to have him being on the sideline in pregame warmups and being able to practice and have all this years worth of development. At the end of the year, maybe he gets some play time I know they were really tight in the playoff picture, so they had to compete all the way through with the Lions to be able to try and get that one seed. But I do think that there would have been some opportunities for him throughout the year to get on the field a little bit and maybe in low stakes scenarios and start to feel it out. So it definitely sets him back. It's definitely set him back in terms of his development, but I think that JJ is going to be okay. I think he's going to be all right. Give him some time and this should be a check mark of a draft pick that you end up getting the quarterback that is not this superstar of a guy, but he's going to check enough boxes. He's going to be an above average quarterback once he hits his peak. Again, like I said, ideally, I think he's Diet Coke Joe Burrow. That's what it is.
See the comparison, but he's a long way from Joe Burrow. It's got to
Absolutely.
me that's a bit of a stretch. I see what you're saying though, but I see him more the style or success wise of a Brock Purdy, a Matthew Stafford, a guy that and that's essentially what you're saying. I just think Joe Burrow
Yeah.
is an elite
See, that's where
quarterback.
the
So
Diet Coke,
it's
man. We're
it's
getting
hard
it's
for
not
me
as sweet. It's
it's
not
hard
as
for me to even
tasty,
call him a Diet Coke
but
Joe Burrow, to be
but it's all
honest.
right. Put it on
Yeah.
ice and it'll take care of business.
I
It'll
will say as long
meet
as he's
your
got those
thirst
weapons
quench.
in Minnesota,
Yep.
he's got a chance to succeed. I could see him struggling a decent amount just because he's still gonna get acclimated to the NFL game, but he's got weapons. He's in a good position to succeed. And then the last guy we'll talk about today, who was the number 12 overall pick. So that was kind of crazy. In 12 picks in that draft, half of them were quarterbacks. To the Denver Broncos, Bo Nix. We already talked in the previous episode. This guy did exceed expectations. He started all 17 games. He had 66.3% completion percentage, 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 92 carries for 430 yards, 4.7 yards per carry, 4 touchdowns. Broncos went 10-7. They the running back room is different. They drafted R.J. Harvey. They've got J.K. Dobbins. They re-signed Cortland Sutton. Marvin Mims was looking pretty good by the end of last year, and they added Evan Ingram, and they drafted a guy named Pat Bryant for some receiver depth. Bo Nix really impressed me last year. Not
Yeah.
that I didn't
Yeah, he
think he
did.
was good. I knew he was good coming out of college, but man, his athleticism and his rushing ability was a lot better than I was expecting. Just
Yeah.
his overall success. 3,775 yards, 29 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. The young man had a very good rookie
Mhm.
season. Uh, I don't expect him to take a step back this year. I think they've added some weapons around him. I think RJ Harvey's a very dynamic young running back. Dobbins, if he stays healthy, is a very good running back. Those two guys off each other is a very good two-headed monster. Evan Ingram, some people have forgotten how good he is because he spent most of last season injured. He's a very good tight end when healthy. He's reliable. You still got Cortland Sutton. Marvin Mims was making some strides. How do you feel about Bo Nix, Diligent? Do you
Yeah.
agree with what I'm saying? You see him
Yeah.
differently?
No, yeah, I think what's really crazy about last year is again, I mean, we've said this for a couple of these quarterbacks, but he didn't have the infrastructure with this team last year to play as well as he did. It should like on paper, you're like, Cortland Sutton's a good receiver. That's not enough for a first year quarterback to go out there and have, if it weren't for Jaden Daniels, have a rookie of the year season.
Oh yeah,
He did it anyways. He didn't
he
care.
could have easily been rookie of the year without Jaden Daniels. Like that
Absolutely. He would
productivity's
have.
ever been
Yeah.
good enough. Yeah.
And he didn't but in reality you look at the infrastructure of this team and you're just like who would he have been throwing to other than Cortland Sutton? What would he have been, how
How
would
did he
he have
even
been
put
able to
those
do
numbers
this with
up with
a
the people he had? Yeah.
yeah, and the O-line wasn't, elite. I think it's gonna be good this year because you have some more development here, but I mean, I'm really impressed by him. And one thing that did scare me whenever he was coming out of school, I had him at 38 on my board when he was coming out of Oregon, on my draft board. So, and I had a mid-second round grade on him. I wasn't a big fan of that pick actually. Whenever they made that pick, I thought it was a bit of a reach. And even though there's
I
such a
did
thing as
too.
quarterback premium, I incorporate quarterback premium into the way I grade my prospects. So
Yeah.
like I incorporate a positional premium, and that's where he landed at 38 with a premium. So I was like, this is not something I would have done. But he went out there. They brought him in and into a infrastructure that wasn't ready for him. And but coming out of school, I was curious about the fact that he was an older prospect, 24 years old, a super senior. So that means he used his extra year of eligibility from COVID. And I was concerned about the fact that I didn't see him processing wise develop the way that I would hope I would see a quarterback who's played for a bunch of programs at that point and has had so many snaps, is so, is an old man in the realm of college football at that time. I was like,
Yeah.
why is he not developed as much mentally? And for some reason, he just came out this year and he was ready to go in terms of his
It's like it
processing.
finally caught up to him. Yeah.
It
His
did. And
processing
and
finally caught up
and
in
that's
that
what scared
one
me is
jump
I was
year.
like how can I justify if he's out here against, college football players, how can I justify he's going to go be a starter in the at the pro level and he's going to immediately go out there and mentally be able to go through these progressions when he doesn't have a lot of guys to go through progressions too. It's just Cortland Sutton and then the
Yeah.
next thing is like, okay, now it's time to throw to Marvin Mims. Like that's not how most teams that's not how most teams are built. And like we were just talking about JJ McCarthy, it's like, I mean, at least not the first 3 games of the season, but whenever he goes out there, he's going to be like, Justin Jefferson's covered, Jordan Addison's covered, TJ Hawk.
Hawkinson.
That is incredible. I love that for him.
Yeah.
That's
And
not the way it was
Jalen
for
Naylor and Ty Felton too are
they're
not.
decent.
I
Those are
mean,
decent
they're
third and
so
fourth options.
yeah.
But Bo Nix was able to catch up mentally. He's able to improvise, throw an accurate football. And now we can see
He
that
changed the whole dynamic of that team. He just really
he
did.
did. He did.
He
And
came
he
in
brought a
as a
team that was
rookie and
down in the
just
dumps.
completely turned
Yeah,
that. He gave them reason to believe that they
sure.
can compete.
And
I mean,
and
they
I'm
were ten
in
and
and
seven
I'm
last year.
in Denver. I live in Denver. These
Yeah,
people, I mean, football is not as big of a deal like coming from Texas to Denver. It's a way different. You can't really compare football from any of the other 49 states to how it's treated in
yeah.
Texas. Even Florida and California, it's big there. It's not Texas big. But even these fans here in Colorado, in Denver, they're like, you can tell just the difference of energy in them compared to last year. And it's just he
Sure.
really brought the energy of this franchise and dialed it up in a matter of 1 year. And now you're able to add pieces. You're able to get deep into the weeds of this Sean Payton era of Denver Broncos football. And you're able to say, all right, Sean, just do your thing. You are one of the best offensive masterminds, not just currently in NFL history. This is one of the
We
best
say
offensive
at least
masterminds.
in recent memory, if not ever. Yeah.
Yeah, and he can now just dial up this playbook. You're a year ahead of time. Let Bo Nix. Last year, you still had a little bit of the training wheels with him, and he was able to excel. He was able to go past the training wheels
Oh yeah.
protocol that they put up and make the plays. And now you can be like, all right, Bo, training wheels are off. We have a vertical threat at tight end. We have a dynamic backfield, even though it's a little bit of a you know Band-Aid ish. You have RJ Harvey is going to be pretty good this year. I think that's 1,000 yard runner. J.K. Dobbins was
Yeah.
short. I think he may have had 1,000 yards last year. Audric
Yeah,
Esme, I liked him coming
yeah.
out of school.
Yeah.
Joel McGaughlin's underrated. I hope they don't just do this running back by committee protocol because I hope that they let RJ Harvey get a rhythm. But you have guys in that backfield to be able to bring a good running game. You have an option at tight end. You have a decent O line. You have Cortland Sutton to throw to. I wish there was one more guy in there, that receiver room that was, ready to go. Maybe Troy Franklin could step up and they can regain the
Which they
repertoire
had
that
in
they had
college.
in
Yeah.
Oregon, and that can be a deep threat for them. They have so many deep threats, but you have again one of the best defenses in the league. This is a good situation for Bo Nix. I think that he's going to go out there and have another good year to build off of.
Expect him to. I fully expect that he will continue to build off of pick up where
Yeah.
he left off
And now,
last
and
season.
I want to ask you really quick, I guess. So realistically, and going a little off script here, but realistically, so there's 6 guys we just talked about.
Yes.
In the NFL, I mean, it's so easy to get caught up in the optimism of these guys. Is there a guy on this list that you'd be like, I could probably see him trending backwards and then it just doesn't work out and then it's like not all 6 of these guys are going to work out. Like it's one
Mhm.
of these guys, maybe 2 of these guys are going to fail. What would be your first like stab at that?
22, I would say possibly for that are McCarthy and Penix, and that's largely
I
because
agree.
I haven't seen enough yet of them to even know. These other guys I've seen potential
Yeah.
to build on. So for those other two,
Yeah.
if I'm gonna say that someone may fail from this list,
Yeah.
as of right now, I had to say it'd be one of those two guys
I
because I
I
just
agree.
don't know
Yeah.
enough yet.
I think Drake May could potentially be on that seat. I don't think so. Um, and I just see too much
That's hard to say.
talent.
I mean, maybe, but he
It wouldn't
showed
be his fault
quite a
though.
lot of
It
potential.
it
Yeah.
wouldn't be his fault if it doesn't work out. I think it would be largely because of just the franchise of the Patriots being in such
Yeah.
disarray right now. And then I mean, and for someone like Caleb Williams, I just see too much talent to be like I can't. He's gonna pan out
If
eventually.
he fails, it's going to be a lot of them not building enough around him because they've given
Yeah,
him some good
yeah,
weapons. He's still young, but the talent's there. So
exactly.
I don't see that failing. If he does, it's
Yeah,
not going to be all on him. I don't think.
yeah. Because
All
and
right.
this was such a talented class. This is just one where it's
Oh
like
yeah.
they're so talented that a lot of the times, and we got to remember all these guys were first half of the draft picks. That means they're going to bad teams
Oh
that
yeah. They
a
all
lot of
went
these
in the
teams
top
weren't
12
ready for them.
picks.
A lot of
Yeah.
these teams needed a quarterback and they weren't ready to build them in, and the Bears were an example of that. The Patriots were an example of that. And so I think a lot of this is these guys are so talented. If they fail, it's because of more so because of the team not having an infrastructure to put them in. But yeah, so there's my 2 cents.
Well, hey, that sounded more like 4 cents at
Four
least what it
cents.
was worth.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for joining us today. I hope y'all did enjoy this as much as Diligent and I have. If you did like it, please show that by clicking the like button. If you've not already done so, please subscribe to the channel. Even if your name is Ebenezer, it'll help me continue to bring you more of this type of content as well as many other types. So for Diligent Jewett, I am Jared Johnson, the Jared J. Great day to Ebenezer's everywhere. Thank you all for stopping by. I hope y'all have a great week. I hope I see y'all again real soon. Now, if I get some comments from Ebenezer.